Okay, so we're going to create linear functions from words. Okay, so here is the goal. Identify the slope and the y-intercept of the graph that represent each linear situation and interpret what they mean. That means we're going to have to write a sentence for explanation. Then write an equation in slope-intercept form and use it to solve the problem. Now, our important information. For one taxi company, the cost Y dollars of a taxi ride is a linear function of the distance X in miles traveled. Okay, that's our important information there. The initial charge is $2.50 and the charge per mile is 35 cents. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not all brand new stuff. This is writing a function like we know how to do. Initial charge $2.50 and 35 cents per mile. Per tells me that's my variable. Okay? Find the cost of riding a distance of 10 miles. So, how do we write our function? Y equals 250 plus 35 cents X. That is not brand new stuff. We're used to doing that. 2.5 plus 0.35x. Okay? Now, we don't want to write it that way. We want to write it with the x first, right? Because we're talking about y equals mx plus b situation. Okay? So we want to write it with the variable first. So let's do that. So I've got y equals 0.35x gets the variable plus the 250. But remember, it's not money until I explain it, so just leave the 0 off. So, what is the slope? As it says to identify the slope and the y-intercept. Once you write your equation, you can do that. Excuse me. You don't necessarily have to find it from the words. You can, but you don't necessarily have to. If you want to go ahead and write the equation first because you know that slope is the coefficient of x, then let's do it that way. Okay? So that's not a problem. So we have slope is 0.35 and our y-intercept is 2.5. So if we have to find it, we're going to write it. Feel free, I'll make this 3 a little bit better looking. Okay? Definitely write it first if you need to. Okay? So now, y equals mx plus b, we're putting it in that form. Slope is 0.35, y-intercept is 2.5. Okay? Okay. When I want to know about the 10 miles, what do I do? Substitute it in. Okay, and once we do, we're going to get y equals 6. Now, interpret what they mean. Okay, well, a $10 ride, 10-mile ride, let's get the words correct here. So a 10-mile ride costs $6. Okay, so that's what we need to know. Y is 6, that's our money. So my slope is the 35 cents, so my slope is my miles, and my y-intercept is my cost. Okay? All right. So, this is set up in y-intercept format. It's already in slope-intercept form. Okay? So let's look at our second example. A chairlift descends from a mountain to pick up skiers at the bottom. The height in feet of the chairlift is a linear function of the time in minutes since it begins descending, as shown in the graph. Find the height of the chairlift 2 minutes after it begins descending. So here is our situation here. Here's our graph. Okay, so we can look at that. Now we read graphs from left to right. Okay, so the first point you come to, we talked about this, that is our x sub 1, y sub 1. And our second point is x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay? Now, y equals, time is our x value, height is our y. Okay? So, to find slope, we're going to have to do that first. Here's our formula. So let's find the slope. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1, and we wind up with negative 750. So our slope is negative, but it should be because it says it is descending. Descending means going down, so it should be negative, and it is. So when I write this as an equation, y equals negative 750x, that's my slope, and I found it, so I know that number goes with the x, plus 5,400. That is my y-intercept, or my b, right? Here's my b, it's on the y-intercept. That's how I know that it goes there. Once I have it written, I know exactly which one is the slope and exactly which one is the y-intercept. And if I want to know after it's moved for 2 minutes, I substitute the 2 in, and y is 3,900, okay, feet in the air. After 2 minutes, okay, the lift is 3,900 feet in the air. So my slope is about time in minutes, okay, and my y-intercept is about feet in the air, okay. So let's look at example number 3. A local club charges an initial membership fee as well as a monthly cost. The cost, C, in dollars is a linear function of the number of months of the membership. Find the cost of the membership after 4 months. Now, in this case, we have a table. Okay, so here's our table. Let me get my notes situated here so you can see them. Okay, so here is my table. X is always written first. Time is always going to be X. So I've got X and I've got Y. And I can find my slope. This is an ordered pair. X, Y. First ordered pair is sub 1s. Second ordered pair is sub 2s. And I have a third one, but I don't need it, right? Because to find slope, I just need Y sub 2 minus Y sub 1 over X sub 2 minus X sub 1. And our answer there will be 59. Okay? And then we just substitute it in. Now, Y equals 59x. Where'd the 59 come from? That's our slope. We found the slope. It goes here. Plus 100. Keep in mind that the B is my y-intercept. How do I know that 100 is my y-intercept? What is x? 0. So when x is 0, it's my y-intercept. So I know that that goes there. And then I'm just going to substitute in my 4 and solve. So after 4 months, the cost is $336. Okay? So that is our first set of word problems and how we interpret them, whether it is just from words, whether it's from a coordinate plane, or whether it's from a table. Okay? Okay, so now let's look at we're going to solve the problem using an equation, obviously. So here we go. Here's our word problem. A gas station has a customer loyalty program. The graph shows the amount of Y dollars that two members paid for X gallons of gas. Use an equation to find the amount a member would pay for 22 gallons of gas. Okay? Now, my information that we have is in this graph right here. So let's focus on our graph. Now, what do I have? Can I do y equals mx plus b? Do I have that information? Well, what I have is 2 points. Is that right? Yep. So if I have 2 points, what type of form do I use? With 2 points, we use point slope. So, first thing I have to find is the slope, right? So that's what we're going to do here, right? Use our formula. So my slope is 3. Now I have a point here. Now why is this one labeled as 1? Because as I come across from left to right, this is the first point I come to. Therefore, it is 1, and these are 2s. Okay, so I have my slope. Now, here we go. Y equals, not y equals, I kid you. Y minus, and we use our point slope formula, okay, just like we did the other day. We substitute everything in. Slope, here's my y1, y sub 1, and my x sub 1, and we get our answer. Y equals 3x minus 5. My slope is 3. What did we determine to be the y-intercept? Negative 5. Okay, so when we look here, it does not intersect the y-axis, so we can't look at that and go, oh, look, here's our b. Okay, but this would continue down, yes, and it would eventually be at negative 5, so that's our b. So the question is, what would we pay for 22 gallons of gas? Well, you're going to substitute that in and get our 61, okay? So once we have y equals mx plus b, I can put the gallons of gas in for x and get our answer, okay? All right, so let's look at our second example here, number 5. A roller skating rink offers a special rate for birthday parties. On the same day, a party for 10 skaters costs $107, and a party for 15 skaters is $137. How much would a party of 12 skaters cost? Now, what do I have? Now, we're just dealing with words here. Okay, so what form are we going to use? Well, there's no y equals mx plus b because there's no each going on here. But what do I have? I have this point and I have this point. This would be an ordered pair. 10, 107, 15, 137. So I've got 2 points here. Okay, we're going to use point slope. Okay, 10, 107, 15, 137. First ordered pair are my sub 1s, second ordered pair are my sub 2s. Okay, and instead of writing it out this time, we're going to write the steps to remind you. We're going to find the m by using, oh, my paper's trying to get away, slope formula. We're going to solve for y, like we typically do, sub in for x to get our solution. Okay, so those are the steps written out because I know sometimes that is helpful. So here's an example of my 2 points, putting it in, and here are the words that we use in order to get those answers. Okay? All right, so let's turn the page. We've got one more page. Okay, so we have used slope-intercept form. We've used point-slope form. So what form do you think this one's going to be? The only one we got left. Standard form. So let's see how that works. We're going to write a linear equation. We're going to graph it. We're going to use the graph to approximate a solution. So we're getting an approximate solution. So here's what we know. The Band Booster Club is selling t-shirts for $10 each and blanket wraps for $25 each. The band director asked the club to raise $1,000. How many blanket wraps will the club need to sell if 50 t-shirts were sold? So this is what we're looking at. Okay. Now, on your notes, this is blank. We're going to fill things in. Okay. So t-shirts are my X. I know it says T. And here are my blanket wraps, and that's B. Okay, but keep in mind that always, globally, this is our y-axis, and this is our x-axis. Okay, so keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write what I have. I have t-shirts for $10 each. I have blanket wraps for $25 each. Okay, and these cannot be the same variable because they're two different things. Okay, so 10s plus 25b, okay, 10x plus 25y, okay, equal 1,000. Okay, so this is in standard form. Okay, so here we go. 10x plus 25y equals 1,000. This is if you're using the, shirts and the B, but I like that we use the X and the Y. Okay, so this is the one we're going to work from. It is the exact same thing. I'm just using the variables that we're used to. And in standard form, step 1, solve for X. This is just a reminder of how to do that. And then solve for Y, and that's a reminder of how to do that. Keeping in mind that if I have the x-intercept, and I'm going to change this to red because I like that better, then y equals 0. Okay? There we go. And if I have the y-intercept, then x equals 0. Keep that in mind. Okay? So, if x is 100, I'm going to put that there. That's what I'm doing. That's my x-intercept, right? Put on the graph. And my y-intercept is 40, so I'm going to put that there. Straight edge. Draw that line. Now, how many blankets do they need to sell if 50 t-shirts are sold? So on my axis for t-shirts, I'm going to go, here's my 50. So how many wraps? Up and straight over. Okay? Make sure you're using a straight edge for this. Okay? So about, because it said approximate, right? So about how many? Well, they must sell about 20 blanket wraps. Okay? So you're actually going to graph this. You're going to write it, use X and Y. I don't care what the words are. Use X and Y because that's what we're used to. We're going to get the x-intercept, y-intercept, plot them where they go. Use your straight edge to connect them, and then get your answer. 50 t-shirts, that tells you which axis to use. T-shirts are the X, I put that there. Straight up, straight across, about 20. Okay? So that's how that works. Now, a sandwich shop must sell sandwiches for $5 each and bottles of water for $1 each. Here are my eaches, okay? Sandwiches can be X, water can be Y. X usually comes first anyway, even in a word problem. So this is our X, this is our Y. So when we look at making our graph, sandwiches, X, water, Y. Okay? So what have I got? Sandwiches for $5 and bottles of water for $1 each. $5 for sandwiches, $1 for water. Okay? And it's going to equal a total of 100. By the end of the day, how many sandwiches must be sold if no waters are sold? Okay? To keep that total of $100. That's what we're finding out. So solve for your x-intercept, solve for your y-intercept. Okay? Plot your points. Here we go. Plotting my points. Connect them with a straight edge. If I sell 0 waters, here I am, 0 waters, now I'm going to the sandwiches. How many would I need to sell? 20 of them. Okay? So when we're graphing, sandwiches are X, 5X, 1Y, and this is our equation we're working from. It is standard form, okay? And this is what standard form looks like in words, okay? Solve for x-intercept, solve for the y-intercept, y equals 0, x equals 0, okay? Keep that in mind. Once we've solved, we are going to plot the points, okay? And find our answer. The homework is listed on the page, okay? I'm going to double check and make sure this is what we need to do. Page 244, 1 through 4. Page 256, 10 through 14. 304, 1 through 6. And that is page 257. Okay? So make sure we're doing that. 257. Okay. So that is your homework. Make sure you get that done and have it ready for Monday.